Using trekking poles can allow you to go places you might not be able to otherwise. I had major surgery on my foot 2 months ago, and with trekking poles was able to comfortably hike for days with my family. I'm going to show you how to adjust and use your trekking poles. The first thing is these wrist straps are a very important part of the trekking pole. They have different ways of adjusting. Mine, you just pull strongly through the strap to make it shorter, or pull back this way to make it longer. And I need mine maximally tight. It's important that it's really able to support your wrist at the height that you grip the trekking pole. Because when you're hiking, you load this strap and it prevents you from having to grip too hard on the pole, which wastes a lot of energy. So you really want your load to come through the strap. The second piece that's important is the hiking pole needs to be adjusted so that your elbow is a little bit lower than a 90-degree angle. You can get actually more force generation through your arm if it's a little less than a full 90 degrees. So right about here. And again, you're going to be pushing down through that wrist strap to really load it. The way you adjust the hiking poles for length, different poles have different adjustments. This particular one has a quick release that allows you to slide it in and out. And the different poles will have different segments marked so that you can remember right where you need yours adjusted. So mine needs to be right here, and then I can clip it down. This pole, in contrast, you adjust it by rotating it. You twist it and that unlocks it, and then you can adjust the length. The other thing that I think is important about adjusting these trekking poles is that you do it proportionally. So you wouldn't want to have all the length come just out of one segment like this to maximum amount and not adjust this one at all. It puts a little bit too much torque on this joint and on this one shaft of the trekking pole. So if you can sort of let it be a little bit proportional out of both ends, it'll make your pole last longer. The end result is that you want your forearm a little less than 90 degrees, which allows you to get the most force translation down into the pole. That holds true whether you're going on a steep uphill or a steep descent. When you're going uphill, you're going to want the poles shorter, more like maybe thigh height. And when you're going on a steep descent, you're going to want them longer, maybe more like chest height, which in the end makes your elbow about the same position, your forearm the same position. The other important feature about adjusting trekking poles are the tips. These particular tips just pop on and off. Others will screw on and off. And this type of tip works really well for flat ground like this or for slick rocks. The tips like this work well if you're in scree or a lot of loose soil where you need to kind of dig down through the surface to get a stable purchase. So now how to use the poles when you're actually hiking. If you think about when you walk and you step with this foot, this arm goes out, and then this arm goes out. It's the same pattern when you're using the trekking poles. The next thing you want to think about is where you place the trekking poles. If you place them out in front when you're on flat ground, it's not very helpful because that force is going down, which helps you go up. And our goal in walking is going forward. So if you actually keep the poles back by your toes at an angle, it helps propel you forward. So it would be this hand, this foot, this hand, this foot. And I'm keeping the poles back by my back toes. And this allows me a lot of force to push myself forward. For climbing uphill, the poles are adjusted much shorter. And what I find, if you plant both poles and then step, it's much easier than trying to alternate. So here again, placing both poles and then stepping works really well. You can also have the poles out in front of you because now you truly are going up. When hiking downhill, your poles are adjusted longer, proportional to the steepness of the slope. I find that if it's a bit steep, it is helpful to plant both poles like we did going uphill. This technique provides more stability and reduces the load on your legs. I hope these techniques will support you in your adventures.